Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see my screen, this is the Unity interface. I'm pretty sure you have the same thing like this. So when you install the Unity, you first of all install what is called Unity Hub. Okay, what you can see here is called Unity Hub. Now, the hub is responsible for holding your project, the editor. So once you install the editor, it appears in Unity Hub. Okay. For instance, if you look through, for instance, if you create a new project, if you look at the top here, these are the different editors. Okay, we have different versions. We have 2019, we have 2020.1.4 F1, we have 2020.3.22 F1, and 2020.3.34 F1. Okay, so these are the various editors. Okay, so these are the projects that I've done. So whenever you create a project, it appears here. You have the name, you have the location where the project is stored. You have the modified, the dates which you open the project, you're going to see it. Then you also have the version. Like this project I'm working on, if you check the dates, the date is, sorry, if you check the version, I'm using the 2020.3.22 F1. Okay. So this is where your project lies. And at the left top corner of the screen, if you click on install, you will see that this is where you get all your projects. Rather, this is where you get all the editors. Okay. So let me quickly walk us through installing the editor. So once you click on install, right, you're going to see the official release. Okay, you see the official release. We have 2021.3. I think this is the latest official release. And what you're seeing there, LTS, it means long-term support. So this 2021 version of the editor, they have already fixed all the bugs in it, all the issues that and that accompanies new softwares. They've already fixed it. So that is why you see it's a long-term support. So you can come over here and click on install. But again, this is a new version, okay? This is an update. Prior to this time, when you click on when you click on an editor to install, you choose what to install along with it, right? You can, that is why I was saying you might actually choose not to install the documentation, but right in here with this new version update of Unity Hub and everything, I don't think you can. So all you have to do is to choose your editor and everything installs. And what follows the editor is your Android. Okay, I will get to that once we open the Unity software itself. So to install this, you just click on this and it installs everything. Now the learn that you see here, this resource is provided by Unity, right? That you can learn. You can recreate it. If you click on any of this, you can recreate those projects in there. I don't know why it's not opening yet. You can recreate those projects in there. Okay, and of course, this is a community of Unity developers. You can join any of this forum, and should in case you have issues or any problem, of course, they can pass you through. So let's get back to our project. Now, to start creating a project, all you have to do is to click on the new project at the top right corner of the screen. Click on it, and yes, right in here, you're going to see so many things. You see 2D, you see 3D, you have 3D sample scene, you have 3D. What I want you to choose, we are working around the 3D scene, or rather in the 3D scene. So you click on the 3D, which is automatically highlighted for you. Okay. Now, if you have very different versions of the Unity editor like me, right, you can come over here and choose what version you want, right? So for this course, I'm going to be using 2020.3. It doesn't matter, it's the same settings, the same everything. So if yours is 2020.3.2, it doesn't really change anything, okay? So stick to your own version. So I'm going to use this, right? And at the right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see project name, right? So this is, you give your project a name here. So for this course, I'm going to be giving it a name, test 1. Yes, and the location, this is where your project is stored. Okay, so if I click on this, you can see that it's stored in my C drive, Okay, install the message driver. As you can just see, these are most of the projects that I've worked on. So, but if you want to change the direction, the repository of the project, of where you want your project to be stored, of course, you can do that. Right. So just click, once you give it a name, just click on create and give it some minutes to load up. Now, it depends on how fast, as you can see, it's loading. It depends on the capacity of your system. Okay. If you have a high-end system, it's going to be pretty fast. If you don't have a high-end system, it's going to take some time. Okay, so whichever way, just give it time. Don't panic because mine is moving pretty fast. Don't panic that yours is moving slowly. Okay, it just has to do with the version of system that you're making use of. Okay, I am making use of a gaming system, Asus ROG, that is Republic of Gamers Zephyrus G15. So it's pretty fast. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unity interface. As you can see, this is the interface. This is the workspace. All right, this is the workspace. And let's start with everything at the top here. And we are going to move down to, we are going to bring in objects and what kind of object you can actually bring in into Unity and all the stuff. So, of course, at the top left corner of the screen, you have the file. Of course, in most softwares, especially your Microsoft softwares, your PowerPoint, your Microsoft Word, you get all these features at the top. Of course, you know what all these are. I really don't have to go into details, but okay, this is a little bit different. In Unity, when you're creating a different page, it's called a scene, right? It's like when you click on a button of an application, for example, you click on enter and it loads up another page opens. In Unity, it's called a scene, SCENA. Okay, so once you see this, create new scene, it means you should create a new page, right? So if you come over here, you're going to see that you have a scene. If you click on it, we have sample scene. So what you're seeing in here, everything you're seeing here is called the sample scene. Okay, let's go back. So you can create a new scene in here. Then from here, so you can also open the scene. Here you can open the scene that was recently opened. Okay, don't worry. Most of all these things you will gradually get to know them when we spend much time with Unity. Okay, then of course you have the save as. You know what it means, how to save. Or if you want to save it to a different name, you can go ahead. Save as a scene template. We are just going to go through all this later on. Now, I want you, if you come over here, click on build settings, right? In Unity, you can build for so many devices. So presently now, we are actually on PC, okay? So if we build anything in here, we can actually build it for PC because it's highlighted here, right? So, but you can build for iOS, you can build for PS5, you can build for WebGL, you can build for iOS TV, you can build for PS4, you can, I don't know what this universal window platform is, but you can build for Android as well, and you can build for Xbox, okay? So that is it. When we start building for all this platform, of course, we are going to just build for Android and WebGL. Okay, building for iOS will require you to have a MacBook and a feature in the iOS called Xbox. Sorry, is it Xbox? Not Xbox. It's an editor in the iOS that require you to edit files. Okay, so yeah, you can just export, but it's not pre-built, so you have to move your export from here to the iOS, maybe to your MacBook. So yeah, and so it's better if you have a MacBook. It's better you can build for Android from your MacBook and also build for iOS directly. Stay in your MacBook. But for Windows users, you can build for iOS devices. Okay, so you have to export it from here to your MacBook to finish the process. So let's go back. So that is that. And build and run. Okay, I talked about this. Build and run is when you want to test how your application is going to be and you want it to build, then automatically execute. Okay. When you have in here, let's go back to build. You have in here build, right? You can just build the application and it will save somewhere in your system. But build and run enables you, you can see it here as well, enables you to build and execute the project, okay? Then edit, we are going to just, as time goes on, we'll gradually make use of everything that is in here. Assets. Now let's talk about assets. In Unity engine, assets are anything that you bring into Unity that you make use of, okay? They are actually called game object as well. They are also called game object as well. So anything you import is called an asset, okay? And they are stored in here. They are stored in here. Anything that you import is called an asset, and this is where they are stored. So if you want to import a video, this is where it's going to be stored. If you want to import an image, this is where it's going to be stored. If you want to import a document, this is where it's going to be stored. A 3D model is going to be stored in here. Okay, so importing anything into Unity is the asset. Now, once it gets into Unity, right, it's now called a game object. Okay, once it gets into Unity, it's called a game object. Whatever you make use of in Unity is called a game object. I'm going to show you that. So if you come over here, game objects, you see all manner of stuff. You see effects, particles, you see 3D objects. If you click on this, you can see there's a cube. There's a cube. Okay. Come over here again. 3D object, you see a whole lot of things, and we are going to, make use of this thing as time goes on. Most of the things that we have in here. Then you have your video, you have your UI, being able to create a user interface in Unity. Okay, we are just going to do that. You have your camera and everything. So everything, all the assets that you make use of in Unity, they are called game objects. To delete this, you can as well just hit your delete button and it gets off completely. Components. Now, this has to do with some of the things you make use of, like audio, videos, and all stuff like that. So once you pull in any game objects, the component is automatically called up. All right. So like I said, as time goes on, some of these things we just generally get to know, make use of them. Now, at the center of the screen, you have this icon with the play button. You have the pause, then you have the step, like move forward. So whenever you build your application and you want to test it, you click on play. Once you click on play, once there is no issues, there is no error with your code, with your project, it will execute. Okay, it will execute. So if you want to pause, you just click on pause, or you can click on stop, whichever. Okay, we are going to make use of this as time goes on. Now, let's get back to what we actually have in here. Let's call back. Over in here, we have the hierarchy, we have the assets, we have the projects. Okay, and I didn't show something. If you come over to window, we have what we call the layout. Now, the layout is the way you want your interface to look like, right? Your Unity interface to look like. Personally, I always like this saw. Okay, my own setting, my own layout is the tall. Is the tall layout. To some of you, your layout could be this. To some of you, your layout could be this, right? It depends on what you actually like. Okay, so you can choose. There's another one called wide. Okay, so you have a wider screen here. You have your hierarchy, you have your assets, and you have the inspector. Well, I think I'm going to make it this. All right, let me leave it this way. Okay, so I hope it doesn't confuse you. So you can choose whatever layer that resonates with you. All right, so once you're here, now the hierarchy, everything you bring in that gets into this scene, this space here, appears here as well. For example, if I call up, let me go back, let me use the tool. Let me use the tool, I'm used to the tool. So if I call up any objects in here, into the space here, it appears here in hierarchy. Okay, so for example, remember I said if you come over to game objects, you have the 3D, you have the feature here with the 3D objects. You can click on any of them. But if you also come over here, if you right click, you get the same thing you got from here. Okay, the same thing you got that is in here, you can actually see them in here. Okay, so if you right click, you can see your 3D object. You click on it. All right, so the moment you do, you see that it appears here. Okay, it appears here, and if you click on the 3D objects, they are what they call, you can refer to this as properties, but in Unity, it's called an inspector. Okay, so with this, you can manipulate this particular 3D object. You can manipulate it. Okay, you can choose the material. As time goes on, you're going to understand what material is. You're going to understand what lighting is, and proofs, and every other thing. Okay, you're going to understand what it is, right? So, whenever you call up anything, it appears here and it also appears here. Okay, so for example, let me call up another thing. I can call up another object and say a plane. Yes. So you have this. Okay, you have this plane. You have this plane. Right, so I can call up another thing. They all appear in here. All right, and all these things have their own inspector. Okay, so this is what the hierarchy is. Whatever you call up appears in here. All right, now most of you might be wondering how I am moving this up and down. Okay, now it's advisable that when you are walking around a 3D space like this, because this is a 3D space, when you're walking around a 3D space like this, you make use of a mouse. Okay, you make use of a mouse pad. You make use of that because it's easier for you to move around, okay, to navigate. So, and that leads us to what this effects right here means. Okay, so let me delete this plane. Now, in the course of your development with Unity, the scene might actually change, or a lot, you might be moving around the scene and things might not really be in order, right? Now, to bring those things back in order or to the center of the page, you see this icon with a hand, this hand tool. If you click on it, right, and hold your mouse, you can move this object anywhere on the screen. Okay, as you can see, you can move this object anywhere on the screen. Now, but the moment you do, you discover that you cannot click on the object. You can only zoom in and zoom out with your mouse. You can't click on the object. Now, that leads us to the next tool. If you click on this, it's called the Move tool. Click on it, and you click on the objects. You can choose to move the objects, right? Now, let's go back again. This hand tool moves the entire scene, not the object. In as much as you think that the object is moving, but look at the scene is also moving. Okay, but if you click on this move tool, you can move only the object on the screen. Now let me go back. Let me create another. Okay, this is a sphere, right? Let me come back again. Let's click on this hand tool. If you click on this hand tool and you move, you see everything on the scene is moving, including the scene, the object, and everything. But if you click on this move tool, I can select which object I want and move it. Okay. I can raise it up, I can move it further, I can bring it forward, I can take it to whatever direction I want, same as this object. Okay. Now, let's go back to the next tool. So you discover that with this, with the move tool, you can only move the object to a particular location, okay? But you can't rotate it. That leads us to the next tool called the rotation tool, right? So with this rotation tool, you can rotate the objects by clicking on any of these lines. Once you click on the line with your mouse and you hold it, you can rotate the object, right? Just click on this box. I think it will give us a better, because it has a different angle than the sphere, which is this. So click on this. You see, you can rotate it to whatever angle you want. So that is what the rotation tool is. So if whatever object you call into this space, whenever you want to rotate, you use the rotation tool. Now, To undo, we can just normally, of course, the Control Z, you can undo everything. Now, the next tool is called the scale tool. Like the name implies, with the scale tool, you can increase the size of the object either on the y-axis, the x-axis, or the z-axis. Okay. For example, this is what I mean. If you want to increase the size right now, if you click on this button over here, click on it and you drag, you see that it's losing shape, it's increasing. It's no longer the circle that we know, rather the sphere that we know, right? It's no longer that. If you click on here, you change the position of that. If you click on this as well, you see. Now, if you click on this cube, you get this, right? If you click over here, you get this. You see, I'm making use of the tools, right? If you click at the top, you get this, okay? So invariably, it's more like you've made a box. Okay, so that is what this scale tool is, all right? Now, let's go to the next tool called the rec tool. If you click on the rec tool, the moment you click on the rec tool, you discover that you have pointers at the different edge of the box, okay? At different edge of the box. So let's see if you click on the rec tool for this, you have pointer at the edge, okay? But it's preferably use a rec tool on a rectangular object, okay? So for example, we have this box, right? So if you want to adjust a particular side of this cube without affecting the other side, that's what the rec tool is for, right? So with the rec tool, for example, let's go back to the scale tool. The scale tool, if you adjust this, you see both sides are adjusting together, okay? Both sides are adjusting together. But when you use a rec tool, you can adjust only this side. As you can see, this side adjusts. You can also adjust the top. You can adjust different side of the screen without affecting the other parts of it. So that's what the rec tool is used for. Then this tool comprises of almost everything in here, comprises of the move, rotate, or scale. So once you use this, right, you can move, you can rotate, you can scale. Now, if you look at the center of this, what is it called again? This tool, this center, if you put your cursor over here, you can scale at both angles, on all angles. Okay, if you put your cursor over the center, within this center here, you can scale on all angles. With here, you can move. Here, you can also move. With this, you can drag it to the right. You can bring it forward. Then you can also take it upward. Okay, so that is what these tools are for, right? This particular one, forget about this. But these are the main tools, okay, that you're going to make use of in Unity. Now, I believe most of you must have seen these icons and you're really wondering what it's for, okay? Now, this game objects, remember I said everything in Unity that you called in here are called game objects, okay, from camera. So if you come over to game object at the top, click on it, you see them. Everything every UI, the UI comprises of course, the interface and everything. They're called game objects. Then videos, they're all called game objects. The camera itself is a game object. Lights, audio, effects, 3D objects are called game objects, okay? So, and when you call them up, they appear in your hierarchy right in here, all right? So what you see in here is called the lights. It's called the lights. In Unity, everything you create requires light for you to see, okay? Because it's a 3D world, it's a 3D space, and it requires light for you to see. So it depends on the direction of the light and how you actually program the light. For example, if you click on the light at the right corner, you have the inspector. Now with this light, let me pull out 3D plane. Yes. Okay. So with this light, you can change the properties of the light. Remember in Unity, I said they are called inspectors. Okay. Right in here, you can see that this is a color of the light. The moment you click on it, you can choose the color of the light. As you can see, because the light is pointing downward, so it's affecting the plane. Okay, so if you click on it, you can choose whatever color you want to represent the light. Mostly in games, you have the orange, kind of whitish. So once you choose your color here, you choose the depth of color, how the intensity of color. So if you bring it over here, of course, this is black, right? This is a darker shade of that color, which invariably is more like it's black. So if you take it to the top right corner of the screen, you have a different color. If you take it to the top left corner of the screen, you have the white. Then, of course, if you want it to be a darker shade of this color, then you keep on bringing it down, okay? You can move around and choose any color you want. Right in here, if you want to make it a bit transparent, you just come over here, then make it that transparent. So this wouldn't really show in here. You only show when you apply a color to an object, okay? Which later on in the course of this class, we are going to see how to get that done. Then, yes, so as you can see, this is the light. You can direct it. You see, you can change the location. You can change the position, rather, of the lights. In Unity, we have different kind of lights, which in the course of our class, I'm going to show you the different type of lights. Okay, we have this light is called the directional light. We have the pointed lights. Let me quickly pull it up. So come over, right click on your hierarchy, come over here, head over to lights. You're going to see the different type of lights that we have in here. We have the directional lights, which is this light that you can see in here. We have the point lights. I will show us how to make use of that in our next class. We have the spotlights, we have the area light, we have the reflection probe, light probe. Also, we are going to learn that in our later in the course of this class. Okay. Then the next thing you're seeing here, this is a camera. Okay. The camera is responsible for everything you do in the 3D world. Responsible for everything you do in the 3D world. For example, how many of us are gamers? If you play lots of games, you'll see that the camera focus is more like, okay, if you played PUBG or Free Fire, you could see that most times some of these games you don't have the player. You just have the player moving and you don't see the player. It's a camera that's actually moving. Okay. And there is a gun by the side. It's a camera. And most times you have the player in front of the camera. Okay. In the course of this class, we are going to I'm going to show us how to call up a third person character. We have the first person character. We have the third person character. Then we are going to see how to move, how to get all these things done. Some of all these things that you see in game, right? How to move around, how to fly. We are going to get all those things done in the course of this class. So this is the camera. You can position the camera anywhere you want. Okay. Now, if you look through this, right, this is called the main. Okay. Okay, I'm coming back to this. If you click off, you will have the scene here and you have the game object here. With this game object here, or game scene rather, sorry, game scene here, everything you do in here is what appears in here. As you can see, this is the view. This is how the camera is, okay? I can drag this game object and put it down here so that I can see everything I'm doing, okay? Of course, you can drag, all these things are draggable, okay? You can move them. I can move it back to where it is. I can drag it back. I can position it anywhere I want to position it. Right? I can position it here. I can position it down to wherever I want to do. So let's come back to this scene here. Let's click on the camera. Now I want you to fix your eyes on this game scene at the bottom. Okay. Once I move the camera, you see that the camera is moving, but this panel remains the same. It's not changing. But what you're seeing here is because it's the camera that is moving. Okay. You see, the camera is moving. Now, if I rotate it, you see that I'm pointing the camera directly on this plane. Okay. Don't worry. If you're confused with time, you will just gradually understand all this stuff. All right. That is that for that. So let's come to assets. This asset side over here. Now, remember I said whatever you call into Unity, right, is called the assets. Everything that you bring into Unity is called the asset. Now, once it's in Unity and you're making use of it, it becomes what is called a game object. Okay. Now, for instance, what can you put in your assets? You can put practically anything in your assets. You can put in 3D models. You can put in images. You can put in audios. You can put in videos. You can put in practically anything you want to put in your game, as long as you know how to make use of them. All right. So in here, you have a folder that houses our scene, right? This is scene 1. Okay. Now, I told us that in Unity, when you have another page, it's called a scene. When you have another page, it's called a scene. If you want to move from page 1 to page 2, in Unity, it's called you're moving from scene 1 to scene 2. Okay. Now, to do that, you can actually create another scene. If you right click over here, you'll see a lot of things, right? You see create, come over to create. Then at the top, okay, not really at the top, you're going to see scene here. You click on it and you have new scene. You can give it a name, whatever you want to give it. I can just say test 1, test 1. So if I click on, once I click on test 1, the name changes. And if I click on it, you see it tells me to save this current scene I am. If I don't save it, everything I've done here might be lost. Okay, so it's advisable you click on save. Now you see it gives you a blank scene completely to build another thing in here. Okay, so you see this is another scene, more like a page. Let's go back to our sample scene. We still have our thing in here, right? So we are going to understand more on this as we go ahead in this class. Now, in this asset, remember I said you can pull in, you can bring in anything you want into this space in here. And for you to do that, right, it's very, very important you organize what you have in your assets, right? So in this scene, we have our scene in a folder called scene. So if I'm bringing in a video, for instance, it's very important to create a folder and name it video, okay? So I can just click on it and create a folder, a new folder at the top, and give it a name, video. Click on enter. It's a blank folder, as you can see. That is why you have this. So once I double click on it, let me go into my system. I don't think that is showing. Let me pull in the video. Okay, another way I can do this is to come over to assets, right? And import new assets. Okay, so there are so many ways you can import assets into Unity. You can either, open your folder, any folder you have in your system, and drag the object directly into your assets container right here. Or you can make use of these options at the top, and you come over to import new asset. You click on it, right? Then don't worry. Let me see. Let me get a picture, for instance. Okay, let me click on this, and you see it opens up, and it appears in this video. This is an image, okay? This is an image, and this has become a game object because it's now in Unity. I can make use of it, okay? But with this image, I can't drag it to the screen. I can't do anything, okay? Now, for you to make use of images in Unity, you need to convert those images. Now, the processes of converting those images, well, to do that, just come over to the inspector. Remember I said everything you call into Unity has a property, also called inspector, okay? So if you click on this image, this is the inspector of this image, okay? So to make this image usable in Unity, you just come over to texture type, click on it, and navigate to sprite 2D UI because it's an image, it's a 2D image, okay? You click on it, then you click on, once you click on apply, okay? You're going to see this play button at the corner, right? We're going to see display button at the corner. That means that's been converted to a 2D sprite. You can make use of it in Unity. Okay. Now, but this is an image. You can't just call it up. You have to apply an image to something. Okay. For example, let me call back that 3D cube. All right. So we're here. So with this, you can add, let's see whether we can add this image to this cube, right? You drag on it, you see, once you drag it to the cube, you see the image has been added to the cube, okay? And the image has been added to the cube. But when this image was added to this cube, something happened. The system automatically created what we call a material. So you will see before we just had only this image in here, but there was no folder. Okay. The moment I dragged this image to the queue, this folder appeared. If we click on this folder, right, you will see that this image is called a material. Okay. So now let me show you how to create a material. Let's go back. Let me delete this. Delete the material. Let me delete it. Now let's create another cube. Okay. Now, remember we dragged this image to this cube, and this image appeared and a material was created, right? But let's create a material. To do that, the right way to do that, okay, well, this is actually lazy man style. You can just drag it and create a material, but because of this class, I need to show us how to create a material. So to do that, just right click over here. Like again, like I said, it's also important you make your workspace, right? Your asset, you create a folder for everything. So I can choose to create a folder and name it material, but hey, let's go ahead. Let's just create the material anyways. Click on it, you click on create, and you come down and you're going to say material, okay? Just below the audio mixer, you're going to see material. Now you click on it. Now it's also important that whatever material that you're creating, you give the name of that material, you name it in after the material, the object you want to add the material to. For instance, this is the cube, right? And it's called a cube. I could just name it cube material so that I don't, maybe when my asset gets too busy and I'm opening up to see different materials, I know what material is for what object, okay? So it's called a cube material. Now, to add this material to this cube, this is the inspector of this cube. Now, I can choose to drag this material over to, if you look, we have what we call albedo, right? You add it over here, and you can see that okay, you can see that it has been added to it. Let me undo that. Okay, this was some material, and if you come over to the inspector, you have what they call albedo, you have metallic, and you have smoothness. Now, explain what this is. Okay, now let's add you, but you can choose to drag it over here, and we add. You can go back, undo it, or you can choose to click here. No, that's it here. Uh-oh. Oh, this option doesn't have it. You can choose to drag it and add it here, and it appears over here. Now, once you do this material has been created. Then you now in turn drag this material on the cube. Okay. So you see, you have created the material. So which is faster? By dragging the image to the cube and the material has been created, or by creating a material and dragging it? I think by dragging the image to the cube and material has been created. But again, it wouldn't create the name of the material that you want to add to the cube. Like now we have it as cube material, right? But once you drag the image to it, the system wouldn't give it that same name, okay? Thereby you get confused. So most times it's better you create your material, you add it to the cube. Now, clicking on the material, we have some features right in here. We have the metallic, right? Now metallic, you know how it is with metal, how glossy a metal is and how rough a metal is. Now looking at this cube, right? The cube is not glossy, it's just there. But the moment we drag this, right? We drag this to the ending, which is the metallic, right? You will see that the cube, here's my lights. Let me change the directional light. Where is it? Um, you notice that the cube becomes a bit glossy. You can see the edges, becomes a bit glossy. If I take it, let me click on the matte again, becomes okay, it shows that. Then if I click on glossy, right, if I take it to the end, it becomes, it has this metallic kind of look. So for you to get this metallic kind of look, you have to work with the metal feature and also the smoothness. I can take the smoothness backward and nothing happens. Okay, nothing really happens. Even if I drag the metal to the end, you wouldn't really see any change. I'm actually seeing the change is a little bit changed, but it's not that much. But if you want to have that metallic look, so you drag the smoothness to the highest, increase it, and you can see you have a metallic look in there. So basically, that is that. So now I've showed you. Now let's work on 3D models. Okay, let me show you how to import 3D model. Again, this is supposed to be a video in this folder, but I dragged in an image in there. So let's do away with this. Do away with the folder. Let's create another folder. Let's call it model, 3D model. Open. And again, in my system, I can choose to go to assets, import new assets. Okay. Then I have a couple of models somewhere. Okay, I have these models in here. And of course, you see it has appeared in here. This is my 3D model. So in the next class, we are going to talk about the different type of 3D models that we have and how to make use of them. Okay. Now remember that as it has come in here, it has become a game object. Okay. The process of importing it is called an asset. And once it gets into Unity and you're making use of it, it becomes a game object. Okay. So now let me call up a plane. Okay. So now all I have to do is just drag this 3D model on inside my workspace. I want us to notice something. As you can see, as I'm panning, this is called panning. Moving around is called panning. Okay. As I'm panning around, it's giving me a wide area. Like I am panning within the x-axis. Okay. But looking at this stuff at the top, we have the y-axis, you have the z-axis, and you have the x-axis. If you click at the center of it, which I've done, it enables you to pan within just one axis. Okay, you see, it's in just in one place. Let's click on it again. You see this moves around, right? It moves around. So click at the center, and you can rotate it while it's in just one position. Okay, so this is my 3D model. This is my 3D model, and I have called this up. And as again I have said, whatever you put in here appears in your hierarchy. And this is a microscope, okay? And if you check in my hierarchy, you have the microscope right in here. And because this is a 3D model, the creators of the models, you can create your models anyhow you want. So I can choose to add material to this model. As you can see, this model is just plain. Okay, it's just plain. Now I can come over here and add color to it. Okay, and I can add color to it. So how we can do that is to just create a material, come over, create material, and you can name it microscope. Name it microscope, right? Now, at the top, in the inspector, you have the ability to change your color. Okay, so I can choose my color, I can give it red, I've given it red, and all I have to do is to drag it to the microscope. Okay, and you see the color of the microscope has changed to red. So now that I've changed the color, anything I do from here, because the material has already been added to the game object, any color I choose from here changes here automatically. So I can come over here and change to green. See, the color changes automatically because the material has already been added and I am just making changes of the material from the inspector completely. So again, we can make it look metallic. Let's drag the metallic stuff down here. So as you can see, because this is a 3D model, it looks more metallic than when we called up a cube. Okay, it looks more metallic, as you can see, it looks more metallic. But if I take the smoothness away, right, you can't really see anything more. So the smoothness makes that metallic effect show more. So let's take it to the extreme, and you can see it has a metallic and it's reflecting light. Okay, it's reflecting light. Okay, so this is how to import objects into Unity. Okay, there are two ways you can do that. You can either use the asset and click on the import new assets, and you can call up any asset you want, or you can just open a window and just open a window and drag your assets in here. Okay, like now I've dragged in a video in here, and yes, so I think that is all that has to do with the assets. Delete this. In the course of our class, we are going to be manipulating things and seeing how we can do some other stuff in here. So this is introduction to Unity engine. So I've showed you, we've talked about the features it has and everything. We've talked about build settings, right? So this version of editor I don't have the I don't have what they call the module. Okay, I don't have what they call the module. I will import the module later. The module, all this you see, Android, Universal PS4, they are called modules. Okay, so once you have finished working on Unity, or rather in Unity, your project and everything, you want to build it for the platform you want to try it on. For instance, the only module that is available here is a PC module. Okay, is this PC module. So I can just click on build, and everything I've created here will build, and it will run on any PC. Okay, but if I want it to run on Android, then I need to install the Android module. Don't worry, if you installed everything from Unity Hub, right? Everything has been pre-installed. Okay, but for me, my other editors actually have it. But I wanted to explain something. Okay, so if you come to File and come over to Build Settings, this version of Unity Editor has this module. So I have the Universal window platform. You can see I have it here. I have WebGL. WebGL enables you to run any application, anything that you created in the web. That is the purpose of WebGL. Rather than you installing them, WebGL enables you to run them in the web. Then you have the iOS. Okay, I don't have the module for iOS. I don't have module for Xbox, but I have the module for Android. So if I want to switch over to Android and build this entire project for Android, all I have to do is to click on Android and click on switch to Android. So it's going to switch to Android. All right, so that is that for Unity, right? We've seen practically almost everything in here. Yes, I know I've not showed us everything, but there are some things that are most important when building using Unity engine, which I've showed you, right? Anything that I've not showed you is something that is not really that so important. But as time goes on, you definitely get to know how to make use of it. Okay. And yeah, so one last thing. Whenever you build your projects, right? Let's come to build settings. If you click on player settings, right? This is where in player settings, this is where you, after you build your project, this is where you set your project, everything that has to do with your project, from icons to the name of the project. Remember when we created this scene, we named it test one. Okay, when we created the project earlier on, we called it test one. So it's appearing here. So once you're finished building, as you can see, it said company name. You have to put in your company name in here. So I can decide to say Extend Africa. To say Extend Africa. Then what version of application I want? Is it 0.1? I can say 0.5, depending, or version 1. I can change the name if I so want to test 12. Okay, now if you look through here, you see that there's an icon. So it's default icon, default cursor. Of course, you want your icon in here. Of course, you know what icon is. When you install the application on your device, the image that shows that represents your device is the icon. So if you click on here, right, you can choose. We don't presently have any image in here, but let me import an image. Go back. Let me call up an image. Okay, I'm going to import the Eastern African logo. I'll just drag it into my assets. Now remember, I can't really use this until I convert it. Okay, so I just click on it, change it to sprite, then apply. I've converted it. So let's go back to settings, build settings, player settings. You come over here. Once you click on this, you're going to see that XA print, Eastern African logo. This is it. We click on it. You see, it appears here. So once you install this application on Android, this is the logo that will appear. Then below, you can choose some certain things that you want to change. Yeah, as time goes on, you're going to get familiar with some of these settings in here. Okay, but for now, you're not going to touch anything here. This is let it be. So that winds up everything that has to do with introduction to Unity.